Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast Man. I am excited. We are going to talk football. We're going to talk faith. We're going to talk family. We're going to talk firefighting with Jacob Gutierrez. Jacob, how are you doing today?
Oh, I'm well. It's good to be here with you, Steve.
Man, thanks a lot for making time. God is good, and you are good, and you are goot. And I'm excited. You don't see this, Jacob, but on Facebook Live, they can see that I'm wearing my OU Sooners jersey from quite a while ago. And this is the sad part. I don't have an OU Sooners number 21 jersey. I've got to fix that, Jacob. I got to make that right. I don't know, man.
Hey, I'm sure there's one around here somewhere. I'll get you. I got to hook you up.
Man, that would be great. That would be awesome. Well, what I'm wearing right now is I thought might have been your number. So when I was up at OU before you got started, Quentin Griffin had just finished his OU career before he went to the Broncos. And so I went to the campus bookstore, and they had some 22s. And I knew that you were, he was 5'7". I still, the roster is confusing as to what height you were during college. Some say 5'7", some say 5'6". Maybe you can just set the record straight right now. How tall were you at OU?
5'10". No, I'm just 5'6.5".
5'6.5". I love it, man.
Yeah.
Man,
I got to take every half or quarter I can get.
Man, that's awesome. Well, I just want to remind our viewers who maybe are not familiar with you. A lot of the people that are going to be tuning in are familiar, not just familiar, but love you and have memories, just special memories of you from your San Antonio days. And any Sooner fans should have some special memories of you as a Sooner. I get to be both. I got the blessing and honor of watching you play at Madison. And I can still remember, and we'll talk about forever, just finding out, I think the night before signing day, your senior year, I think it might have been Patty Rittimann who notified me that you were going to commit or sign with my team, the Oklahoma Sooners. And, man, I just remember being in my kitchen just jumping, up and down with joy. And people may not know the story, but tell us a little bit. I know it's been a while, and I'm talking about memories and stuff, but you were one of the best running backs, if not the best running back in this city, but you were under-recruited, and then all of a sudden you're going to OU. Can you just recall for us what that was like, and how was it frustrating for you as a competitor knowing that, hey, I should be with the schools like Oklahoma, but they're not talking to me? Can you talk us through that?
Yeah, it was definitely a hard time in my life. Ever since I was little, I kind of had this dream of going to play big-time football, and you work hard and do everything you think you need to do. And I had the numbers and performance and everything I thought I needed to get to that point. And then when it came to that point, it just wasn't happening. So it was disappointing. I thought, I did my part, and I thought that the offer should be rolling in and everything should take care of itself, and it just wasn't the case. So it was hard. I had to kind of take a look at myself and try to figure things out, and it's frustrating because I had this game plan, and it just wasn't going the way I thought it was going to go. I even remember having a conversation with my dad, one night. He's like, well, we can bet on you. Where do you want to go to walk on and try to earn a scholarship? And ironically, it was like, well, Oklahoma. Quentin Griffin just left, and the program's kind of set up to for me and what I would like to work, what kind of offense I'd like to run, and the number one in the country. And so we kind of had that in the back of our mind. And, if nothing works out D1-wise, I can go walk on somewhere that's going to give me an opportunity. And a few weeks went by, and then Kansas, KU called me. I sent my tape out all kinds of places, highlight film, and then KU called me because Seth Luttrell was coaching there at the time. I don't even know if you remember him, but he was the fullback for Quentin Griffin.
Oh, yeah, of course I do.
Yeah. So he called me. He said, hey, we got you. We got a hold of your tape. I really like you. I think you can do some good things in our offense and everything. So I was set and ready to go be a Jayhawk, go do that. It was my first D1 offer.
Wow.
And I was on board. I just wanted to be on that stage, and that was my opportunity. Later that same day, Coach Bobby Jack Wright showed up at Madison, and he brought me in the office. He said, hey, we got your tape. We like you. We just don't really know if offer stuff's going to work out, or if we have a scholarship left for you, just kind of want to let you know that,
Wow.
that we're interested. So I was excited. Stuff was happening, and later that evening he called me back. He said, "Hey, we got a scholarship where you want to be a Sooner." So it's like, yeah, I'm in. I mean, number one school in the country.
Yeah.
It's what my dad and I had talked about previously already, and so it's just one of those things. Like I said, it wasn't my plan. It wasn't how if it was my way,
Yeah.
I would have been able to go and visit all kinds of schools and kind of pick my whatever I wanted, but it was kind of written and how he wanted it for it to happen, and that's how hadn't even visited, didn't really know anything about Oklahoma or anything like that. I just knew that football wise it was a great setup for me. It wasn't too far from home, and I was going to pay for school. So that was a big thing. The boxes that checked off, and there you go. I was a Sooner that day.
I got to ask you because I think of you. Oh, hold on. I got a timeout from Mark.
We're lagging really bad.
Really bad? Okay.
So I'm going to go ahead and stop it.
Okay. Steve Teel, Very Bold Radio and Podcast, having some technical fun here. Just having a party. Thanks to the marksman, though. I think we've done what we can do, so we're going to go audio only with the static shot on Facebook Live of me in my Sooners jersey and Jacob in his Sooners jersey and gear, and also his firefighter gear. And so we're going to talk. We've been talking in part one while we were glitching, I think, with the Wi-Fi, about Jacob's path to OU and just how he had to kind of go through it to get to it and get that opportunity from OU. And Jacob, one of the things I wanted to ask you about was when you said that you kind of had to take a look at yourself and you had to just kind of work through those feelings and emotions. When I think of you, like, you are a rock. I mean, I've seen you in high pressure situations, and you are just the coolest person that there is. Like, you're the perfect firefighter, because I want someone like you when everything is, man, you just got to count on somebody to save your life or to come through. So when I think about you, like, dealing with disappointment or just processing through it, I want to know what that was like for you. How did you deal with those emotions and thoughts when you thought, man, it's just not happening?
It was hard. It was frustrating. I mean, I appreciate those comments and the sentiments, but it's tough because, I mean, like you said, I mean, a lot of those situations, there's things that you can do. If you're in a tough situation in football, there's a block you can make, or a run you can make, or cut you can do, something you can physically do. But in a situation like that, I had done everything that I could do. It was out of my hands. And that was the hard part. Even firefighting situations, something gets there and something's on fire, there's something I can do. There's a tactic that I can deploy, or something that I can physically do. But in a situation like that, it was nothing. It was one of those times when it's out of your hands. And that's when faith comes in. You just got to put it in his hands and be faithful, and kind of just wait to see what rolls your way. And like I said, it wasn't my path. It wasn't my plan. I would have enjoyed being able to go visit all these Power 5 schools and take my pick and whatever one suited me. But it was looking back now, it was the way it needed to go. It should have gone. He put me where he wanted me and not where I wanted to be. And so it's hard to understand that in the heat of the moment. Like, it was disappointing. It was heartbreaking that it wasn't going as I had planned. But kind of looking back on it, it was exactly how it needed to go. So it was a great lesson for me to learn and try to pass along and to somebody else maybe going through one of those situations. Those are the hard times when you can't do anything. Done everything you can. You just got to sit back and be faithful and go with it.
Did you feel like your faith in God grew during that time?
After the time, I think. After I had time, during the time, it was shaken as far as you kind of felt betrayed. Like, hey, I did my end of it. I kind of, even before that, I got in a car accident when we were in high school. Flipped the car, and
I forgot about that.
You look back, and I was like, man, I could have been dead or hurt or something. I said, what do you want from me, God? And at the time, I had football going for me. But honestly, it was one of those deals where it was going for me. It was all, I was I was popular, I was athletic, I had things going for me, and they were selfish motivations. And so something like that happens, and what can I do more than just selfish reasons? And I turned back to football. I said that it cannot be a selfish reason. It can be something that opens doors for me into other people's lives to do something, to make a difference, to do something special. And so I poured myself even more into football and that avenue, because I felt like that's what God wanted of me, because I was blessed with those gifts. And then I got to that point where I was like, well, maybe this was, was I wrong? This is what I thought. I did everything that I thought I was supposed to, and nothing. And so it was shaking. And it seems trivial now that football would shake me so much, but that was my life. That was everything I had. All my eggs in that basket, pretty much. So when something like that, it kind of shakes you. But then you get into it and you realize, man, it was exactly how God wanted it. Not how I wanted it again, but how He wanted it. And then it strengthened me. After it shook me, it strengthened me. So
that's good.
It's one of those old things, and you got to break it down to build it up.
Yeah, shook me and then strengthened me. That's good stuff, man. That's good. Okay. Well, I want to talk about some of your OU experiences, and we're still going to talk about you as a father and family, and more about your faith and everything. But of course, I'm going to also talk some OU football with you, because I just have to. That's legal contractual obligation that I have to. So I am going to have to ask your just opinion about OU, because I'm sporting my 22 jersey, and it's been a tough season. We'll talk about that later. We'll get to that. But I was going to have Coach Rittimann in here with me, and we were going to he was going to co-host with me, and he had to he wasn't able to make it today after all. But I had asked him, like, what's a question you have for Jacob? Like, what would you want him to answer? And then I realized, man, I should ask some of those other former Madison coaches. And, of course, Coach Pederson is back there as the head coach. So I asked him, give me a question for Jacob. And I asked Coach Streety, who's your head coach and is a legend, of course. And I reached out to Coach Cueva, and I got all sorts of different questions. So I want to go ahead and go through those and just kind of see where it takes us in this conversation. So which one do you want to start with? You tell me one of those four coaches.
Let's go with Coach Rittimann. He started the whole deal. Let's do it.
I love it. All right. Well, first of all, and I was going to have him introduce you, which I just thought was going to be really cool, because over the years I've heard him say so many great things about you as a leader and as a teammate. So I said, last second, hey, just give me at least a sentence on Jacob. So what he said, and if Rittimann says it, you have to take it to the bank. He doesn't just hand out compliments and comments unless he really means it. This is what he said. Jacob was probably the best peer leader I've ever had in our program. Jacob was probably the best peer leader I've ever had in our program, I think that's really cool. I don't know. What do you think? Yeah, that's not bad.
No, I'm with you. The man I deeply respect. Anytime they have a compliment or praise for you, you take it to bank. So
yeah,
each compliment from Coach.
Yeah. All right. Here's what he asked. Are there any character/qualities that you learned during high school football that you use today in your roles as husband, father, or professionally?
Oh, man, all of them. Golly, yeah. I still have the opportunity to go and speak to high school teams. I get calls every now and then, go talk to different teams, and that's it. Again, you don't realize it when you're going through it, and I didn't either. But football was my life. My dad being a high school coach, and he played ball, and so I grew up in a locker room. I grew up around football, and it was a game, but it was life that you learn in a game. It's life in 100 yards. So it's all those things that you learn that are instilled in you that you don't realize until you get out. You're like, man, yeah, I was training for life this whole time, and I didn't realize it. Just things like hard work. When you face adversity, just how to overcome it. How to not shut it down. Because in football, you see if you shut down in adversity, then you lose the game, right? and that's a football game. But in life, if you see adversity and you shut down, then you lose in life.
Right.
You just can't afford to do that. You can't miss opportunities. Leadership, that comment Coach Streety made is the thing I learned in leadership is about others. It's not about you. It's not about getting a C on your jersey or getting to walk out in the middle of the field or anything. It's about being able to make the people around you better.
Yeah.
And as a father, as a husband, as being in a firehouse, it's not about you. It's not about your rank. It's not about seat at the table. It's about trying to make other people better. And that's what leadership in football taught me, and that's how I tried to go about it. And now in life, it's the same way. It's not about my position as in a community or anything like that. It's just, how can I make my son better? How can I make my daughter better? How can I make my wife better and serve them better? And then those leadership tags come your way, unintentionally. And you don't strive for it. You just try to make people better.
Yeah.
And people see that, and then they dub you a leader, however that may come. But it's not the goal. It's just the byproduct of just trying to be there for others.
That's
I
awesome.
think. But and then I ended up as a firefighter, and all those same things just come into play. Working hard, dedication, loyalty to those guys that you work with, that teamwork atmosphere that I was around in football my whole life. It's the same thing in the fire station. Trying to help make others better. Trying to be diligent with your craft. It used to be a football, and now it's a fire hose. But other people depend on it, and so you just try to take that work ethic and those lessons you learn and apply them to everyday life, whether it be work or family or anything. But everything I've learned has played out on a football field at some time or another in my life, and now I just get an opportunity to reflect on it and bring it back to the surface to try to be a better husband or father or a firefighter.
Man, all right, I'm going to come back. I want to make a comment, but I'm going to come back and ask you about, just how you serve Ashley and how you serve your kids. So you can let that sit there. But I want to make this comment, though. Just I'm writing down some of the things you're talking about, and I think it's amazing just going back to the football field. I mean, you talk about hard work, and I'm now kind of thinking about your OU career and talk about overcoming adversity, talk about leadership. Those are some of the first three things you said, and then dedication and loyalty. And just looking back at your OU career, I mean, you continued to work hard. That freshman year, you were one of 3 running backs that were there. When Adrian Pederson signed as an OU running back, I believe the other 2 guys transferred. You stayed. You could have seen that as, man, that's adversity. I mean, your opportunity might have been coming or right in front of you, and then all of a sudden the number 1 running back in the nation comes to OU. That's some adversity, but you keep working hard. You can't help but work hard. I mean, that's just who you are.
Yeah, I appreciate it. But and it kind of goes back to how it all unfolded. It's a whole other can we can open up with the whole new
let's open it up.
Portal and NIL deal and all that. I had an opportunity to leave when Coach Mike Stoops left. Coach Bob Stoops gave me his blessing and said, "Hey, it's a great opportunity for you to be the man there and
at Arizona, right?
See the field more." And I had to take it to prayer, and it was hard for me to not see God's plan. Like I said, if it were up to me, I would have been able to visit every Power 5 school and take my pick and do that. But seeing how God laid it out in my life and discerning all of that, I just couldn't see how I could selfishly just seek more playing time or more limelight for me. I was serving in the children's hospitals here. I was mentoring kids in elementary schools that football had given me that platform. And take a second and to realize that was his plan. And for me to just hightail it out for a selfish, what I felt was selfish reasons, I couldn't do it. So I just stuck around and tried to work harder and grow in where he put me. Make the best of that situation. And if football was going to happen, it was going to happen. But I was doing what he wanted me to do. So I wish now that young players would just take time and not get caught up in the limelight of everything, but truly discern where you want to spend the next 4 or 5 years of your life to grow as a young man, as a person, not just limelight or the biggest, baddest, or latest, but just where do you see yourself growing as a young man, and not jumping from place to place when things get hard, because there's a lot of lessons to be learned in adversity and trials and tribulation.
Right.
But you never get to learn it if you bail out on it.
Right. And pretty amazing to me that part of when you think about 18, 19, 20, 21-year-olds, one of the motivations for you staying at OU was because you were serving others. Like, you were loving those kids at the elementary school week after week. You weren't just making a one-time appearance and photo opportunity. You were there building relationship with those kids and going to the hospitals and things. I think it's amazing and speaks to your character that, that was one of your chief concerns was, God is using me here, is what it sounds like to me.
Yeah, and exactly, and it was, and I couldn't, again, leave for my own reasons when I knew that I was there for other reasons. Other than football. Yeah. And so, and really, it's just to me, in my opinion, it's just a matter of all those opportunities are there. It's just a matter if you take time out to discern what God wants instead of what we want individually. And it's hard sometimes, when there's a lot of other opportunities or things that we may want to do for ourselves, but take time and see what's around you, who's around you, what you're doing, what your purpose is. And I was blessed. Like I said, it was a hard time, the recruiting process the way it did. Yeah. It was a hard time getting into a car accident when you're in high school and doing all this stuff, but there were things that form you, that form your thought process and your development and your life perspectives, and just being exposed to all that just kind of changes your thought process, I believe. So.
Yeah, that's good, man. I've got so many questions, but we'll keep rolling. Let me go back to, and we'll get back to these other coach questions, but how do you serve your wife, Ashley? Give us an example. It might just inspire some husband today or boyfriend today, just to remember their wife and how they can serve them. Give us an example.
We've been married 11 years now, and it's still a learning process, how, talk about love languages, those books and everything, to what speaks to her heart, and I think everybody's different in how they receive that love and that serving, and how you do that, so it's always an ongoing process. But for me personally, my wife, she works hard, she works late, she does a lot, so I try my best to just do all those things to take it off her plate, even though there's those times you just want to sit back and kick your feet up and just watch football all day, or do this or that, or what you want to do, but knowing how much it takes off her plate, relieves her stress, like, hey, I need to, get this laundry done, or, get this food made, or, there's no traditional roles or just her job or anything. It's just serving one another, what's going to make life easier for the other person, and vice versa. She does the same for me, and but it's just kind of trying to be attentive to what she's going through, what she's struggling with, how to serve her, always trying to take time to keep her needs in mind, and in that little time in prayer, just even when she doesn't ask for it, or trying to make it a habit as a family or as a couple as well, just being there just to serve. So those things, when you, again, it's not about you, it's not about what you want. Yeah. It's about what's going to make her happy, us happy as a family. Even though I feel like I might deserve to just kick my feet up and sit there and watch football all day, it's like, hey, what does this family need first? So, yeah.
Right. What I'm just curious, what when you look at your love languages and hers, are they the same? Are they different? And usually when I get to counsel pre-marriage and some marriage counseling, and usually I've been able to identify that a husband and wife usually have like kind of two, not just one main love language, but usually like kind of two. I don't know how it is for you and Ashley, but do you know what her love language or two is?
Yeah. It's what's funny is that because we did that at the beginning of our marriage, go to the counseling and stuff, and we got, hey, hers is words of affirmation. And so she needs those words of affirmation. But then get married and you get busy and you have kids and your needs and everything else change. So it went from words of affirmation to acts of kindness. So it's like, hey, you can tell me that, but if you take care of the kids' laundry, that'd be awesome. So it's kind of they morph and they change, but not to say they're still not mixing in those words of kindness and stuff too.
Right.
I think it might be the same for everybody too. You just kind of to morph and change. But then it goes back to being attentive. What do we have going on as a couple, as a family, as in life? Things that we might need, and just trying to keep it at the forefront because life gets a little crazy, but making time to kind of tune in.
What would you say is your love language?
I'm going with acts of kindness. I like things.
Okay.
Doing things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Knowing, how you sacrifice and how you serve. Okay, that makes sense. All right, who do you want next? We got Pederson, Streety, or Cueva. Pick one.
Go Cueva.
Cueva. All right. His first one. I'm going to read you exactly what he texted. What's your favorite third down play? And he said, just kidding. That's for a football interview, but I definitely want to hear your favorite third down play. This is a football interview also. And he said also the more serious one is, how about what's your calling to this job? But talk about your favorite third down play.
Oh, man, just because I had a lot of memory of the screen. Screen pass is always nice,
Yeah.
Caught up in the screen, and usually you can break them for some good yards. You get some good blocking and things going, but I always enjoy a screen. That's how that Roosevelt play.
That's Streety's question. So, okay, let me throw in Streety's question just because he said, ask him to tell a story about carrying the whole Roosevelt defense into the end zone on one of his touchdown runs. And he put a crazy LOL emoji and the muscle emoji. So, so that ties right in with that. Can you tell us about that?
Man, that was a crazy game. And actually, one of my teammates at OU, Corey Bennett, was playing there he was a sophomore at the time. But they were both really highly ranked in the city. Roosevelt had a lot of talent and came down to the wire. I honestly can't remember if it was third down or fourth down, but it was third and long or fourth and long. And it's funny, talking to Corey after the fact, too. He said, dude, I got yelled at so bad because we watched film. We knew it was coming. They were yelling at me. And our job was just to stop it, and we just couldn't stop it. But, Joey tossed me a little screen pass and made enough yards just to keep the chains moving and towards the end of the game. And so we're down there and inside the 10 or so, ran inside run play and just kind of found a little crease and just kept my feet moving, and yard after yard kept on coming and ended up in the end zone very end. But, it's kind of one of those deals everybody dug in and kept on pushing defense, offense alike, and ended up in the end zone and ended up with the win. But so it was just great atmosphere, a good win against a really good team, and they get to share those memories with a teammate at OU after the fact. But, it was one of the highlights because it was such a great environment.
Man, I wish we had. I don't feel like we had huddle back then, but I wish we did because, in my mind, I can still picture part of that night. And, I don't know how many Rough Riders were like. You were carrying them. I really it wasn't just, what I remember is not just, that the offense was pushing you. It's just like, man, there were 3-4 guys, I don't know, a ton of guys. And you just kept moving, and it was incredible. It was just crazy. I remember, your cousin, and even after the game, because we were on the visitor side at Comalander, seeing everybody. It was pretty crazy. That's what I remember anyway. But wild. All right. Anything else? And then Cueva's other question kind of runs into Pederson's question, so I'll throw that out there. But anything else about that touchdown run? How many guys were on you?
Oh, I don't even remember. I don't know. If you watch the film the next time, there's a group of them, but I don't know. I was just excited that it worked out and got to celebrate it with the teammates, and it was just a good, exciting atmosphere to win.
Okay. All right. I love it. All right. Cueva says, how about what's your calling to this job? And then Pederson, Coach Pederson said this: Jacob is one of the greatest competitors I ever coached. I would ask him what in his life today fulfills that urge, drive to compete at such a high level. So I don't know if that ties into your calling to your job or what, but there it is.
Yeah. So Coach Cueva was asking about my job as far as a firefighter. What attracted me?
Yeah, he said, just how about what's your calling to this job?
Yeah, honestly, like I talked about all my eggs in the football basket, ever since I was a little, wanting to play professional football and doing all that.
Yeah.
And then when I was actually done with it, I was like, what do I do now? It was a weird time in life. There'll be a lot of athletes that go through that. You're one thing your whole life, and then when it's gone, it's like, now what? What do I do now?
Yeah.
Nobody's scheduling practices or study halls or workout times or anything. You're like, now what? Try to find plan B. And like I said, my dad was a football coach. I know coaching. My brother's still coaching high school football.
Yeah.
So I know coaching life. I know what it's about. I just wanted to challenge myself to do something different. Because it's easy to fall into that, what you know. But I was like, I want to do what I don't know, just to see what I can learn and see what else is out there. But so firefighting, I had a cousin that's a firefighter in Austin and an uncle that was a firefighter in Kelly Air Force Base. I just kind of looked into it and said, man, it's kind of like football, but different. You're around the team, you're staying active, but there's a whole different side of it. Get to be in a community and serve and go down that route. So I started looking into it more. I was like, I like this. So I started applying. And now in 11 years now, and there's still so much. That's my drive to learn, because it's truly serving every day. If the attitude you go to work with is what it's just like anything, you get out of it what you put into it.
Right.
You want to go in there with a good attitude, and learn, and be able to serve others. And usually when people call us, it's in a hard time or a tough time. So to be able to go and make things better and to serve others, and I don't know what's my deal. Just to keep pushing myself, competing, and like they were saying, just to stay active and get better and to keep learning. I think that's been my drive, is just to keep learning. And you do every day with the fire department. I'm a paramedic now as well, so learning the medical side of it, and rescue side of things, and just keep on keeping on.
I love it. Okay, so does that also go in with Pederson's, what today fulfills that urge, drive to compete, or?
A little bit. I mean, I like challenging myself and just learning why. I just always like to keep on going. But I got into CrossFit stuff. I like just going CrossFit, just working out this, because it's all times. How fast can you do this? Well, last time you did this fast, how fast can you do it this time? So it's just staying active and competing in that way. But yeah, that's pretty much the two biggest things.
That's good. Okay. I want to just, and I know we've because the technical glitches were way over time and stuff, but if you could give me a few more minutes, and let me shift gears now. I'm trying to think if there's anything else we just want to cover from your coaches or anything, but let me just kind of shift gears and just ask real quickly about your faith and just where you're growing in Christ these days, what that looks like, and then I've got to still come back to OU football. So just give me a few more minutes. I've let our next guest know that we're kind of delayed, so give me a few more minutes on that. Man, how are you growing in your faith? I know you're strong in your faith with Christ, and how's that going?
Man, the thing is, just like I said, fire career-wise, just growing, challenging myself to grow and to learn every day. And it starts, it's tough now. You have kids, and they ask questions, well, what about this, Daddy, what about that? So it's no time to just kind of like, well, because I said, dig deeper and learn exactly the ins and outs of what we do, why we do it, what we believe, why we believe it, and when it comes up to life things, why they ask them, we can fall back on those things we teach them. So really, I mean, it's just a daily thing. All the kids all the time bring up questions and to be able to just relay it back to our faith and not just a worldly answer is the challenge, and not to try to make anything up on the spur of the moment. So, yeah, they keep me going, from church to everyday life to prayer time, and they call you out on it. And, Daddy, we say our prayers, or this, that, or the other. So it's fun and it's challenging, and just to keep on growing and to make it a part of their lives, because they're going to be what we make in their life.
Right.
Put our faith and prayer in their life, and they'll become faithful, prayerful people.
That's right.
But if we don't make time for it now, then it'll be hard for them to flip the switch one day and make it part of their life.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Okay, and just for people who are listening who may have lost touch or whatever, but you've got 3 kids, and you've got one on the way, you and Ashley.
Yes. My oldest son, Jace, he's 7. My daughter, Eliana, she just turned 6.
Okay.
Our youngest son, Elias, he is 2. He'll be 3 in February 28th. And then we have a little one any day now coming. Don't know if it's a boy or girl. We just kind of wait and see what God gives us. So we'll see. And then a crazy old English bulldog.
I love it. All right, man, just talk to me a little bit about OU football. It was kind of a tough season. I was glad. I was doing some research, and I saw that you did go to the spring game, which I was really excited just to see. It seems like that means you're still connected, and how do you feel about how the year went? How do you feel about Coach Venables and where the program is headed? Because I want to say real quick, I mean, one of the cool things that he's done is that soul mission. And I thought, man, Jacob Gutierrez would be great for one of those soul mission spots. So I don't know if anybody gave you a call or reached out to you, but, man, that sounded like something you would be great at.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Yeah, I actually kind of a weird deal. My wife was giving me a hard time, but I never wanted to be one of those guys that just hung my head on what I used to be.
Yeah.
I played high school football, throw the ball over these mountains, kind of deal, or anything like that. So I'm around and we go to football games, but I never wanted to just hang my hat on or anything. So I kind of stuck away from things, and I didn't went too involved in everything. But when Coach Venables came by, he was like, "Hey, we need you guys to come to our Oklahoma football. We need that tradition. We need y'all around here." And so it was really a warm. Not to say Coach Riley wasn't. He was cold or anything, but Coach V went out of his way to make it be known that we want you here, we need you here. And so we went to that spring game. We went to his welcoming deal here, and my kids really enjoy going to be around it and stuff. And so it's just a great environment that he created. And obviously the season didn't go the way we wanted it to go, or anybody wanted to go. That we're used to or accustomed to the season going around here. But, man, I have a full faith in Coach B and what he's doing. And it kind of falls back on what we talked about earlier about trying to create that environment for young men to see, like, hey, this isn't just a place to go make some money or to be about the limelight. It's like, hey, these coaches, they want to invest in you as young men. This game will be here and be gone before you know it, even if you go to the next level. Yeah. And then you're stuck with who you are as a man the rest of your life. So I'm happy that we got Coach Venables, and he is the person he is now, because he isn't the same man
he isn't.
Left 10 years ago, whatever it was when he left the Clemson. He's different. He's grown. He's in his faith as a man, as a coach. And these young guys are going to reap the benefits of it. I just pray that everybody else can be open-minded to that. That old saying, Rome wasn't built in a day.
Right.
You can create some temporary success if you kind of pull some strings and do things the wrong way. But if you want to do things the right way and have a lasting, successful program, you got to lay a foundation. You got to be about the right things, the people that are about the right things, and do it that way. And sometimes that takes time.
Yeah.
So I just pray that everybody understands that they're welcoming to it, supportive of it. You see those fans that are, fire Venables, and it's crazy. You're never going to appease everybody, but I have no doubt that things are going to turn around, and we're going to be the program that we're used to being. And but what I'm more excited about is just those young players are going to are going to benefit from it. You know, they truly are. They're going to be better young men because they chose to be a part of this. So,
Yeah, that's awesome. That's really exciting. And I'm going to close out just by reminding people, even though I love that you're not, a guy who just is talking about the good old days and all that, but we are. I'm going to talk about some of the good old days. I just want to close by saying this. Just a reminder for people or people who didn't get to see you play. And of course our video is down, but, the highlights that I came and the memories that I have of kind of the one big opportunity you did get in 2005, particularly against Baylor when, I think what the stats say is you carried the ball 30 times, which is a lot, and 173 yards, which is also a lot, and beat Baylor in overtime, maybe double overtime, 37-30. And I was looking at some of the stats from that year, and Adrian Pederson, he had a couple of, big games over 200 yards. But then I think that year, if these stats were correct, the next highest total was number 3, I think, was Jacob Gutierrez with those 173. And then Adrian Pederson was at 4, 5, and 6. So, I mean, you had a lot of talent, and that's just proof just in the numbers. And then one last thing that I just want to remind people, and you clarify the record. I know you were captain at least one of the years. Were you captain 2 years? That's what I don't remember.
Yeah, I was actually captain last year.
That's amazing.
Big honor for me just because it was chosen by the team. Your teammates chose, so be a part of that and do those things. So it was a blessing.
That's something. I mean, that was when you were talking about hard work, adversity, and leadership. And just thinking that, man, your team elected you as captain 2 years. I mean, that's just phenomenal, Jacob, and just says so much about you. So even though it's in the past, I get that. I mean, I still think it's something that we get to celebrate about you and just the person you are, the person you became, and the person that you're continuing to become. And, man, as a dad, as a husband, as a firefighter, and just a leader in the community, and we're just really grateful for you, Jacob.
Well, I appreciate it, Steve. It was great catching up, and just hopefully a conversation helps somebody else out and what they might be going through in life or looking forward to. So I enjoy it.
Good. I know it blessed me, and I know it's blessed somebody else and is going to bless some others too. So stick around on the line. I just want to talk to you off air for a minute, and I'll just sign off for the show for now, though.
Sounds good.
Okay, that's Jacob Gutierrez, man. I love that guy. Love you, man. What an inspiration. I didn't this time get to talk about the blessings that he's been in my life and the opportunities that he gave me, but I did get to because of Jacob. I got to speak to OU Chapel against Missouri now back in the day, and that was, kind of a bucket list I didn't even know I had on my bucket list, and he made that happen. Got to go to a national championship game because he had tickets for the Rittimanns, and thank you, Patty Rittimann, for setting your ticket aside that I could go with Ron. That was an amazing opportunity. And also, I got to meet Coach Venables when he was assistant Coach Venables, and that was because of Jacob Gutierrez and up at the Switzer Center. And so anyway, I've been blessed, and you are just so thoughtful, Jacob, and so caring and so serving. And you just go out of your way, when we would come to Norman to make time for us to go out to lunch or breakfast. That's just the kind of guy you are. So you're an incredible blessing. And so I just want to remind our listeners man, there's somebody that you can serve today. There's somebody that you can love today. And it comes out of that hope, and that comes out of that faith of who you are and who God is and who Christ is and who he calls you to be and the gifts and the talents that he's given you. So I want to encourage you, that hard work that Jacob is talking about, that overcoming adversity, that discerning that Jacob is talking about, to look at that today, that leadership. How can you serve others? That dedication and that loyalty. Man, maybe God is just bringing up one thing in your life that, that's where I'm gonna shine. That's where I'm gonna work. So we'll sign off with this. This is why we're Very Bold Radio and Podcasts and Very Bold Ministries. It's because of that great hope that Jesus Christ has given to us, no matter what we're facing. This is what the Apostle Paul wrote in 2 Corinthians 3:12. Therefore, since we have such a hope, we are very bold.